me, so I'm not actually. I feel at home each time I come here from Africa and joining this, let me say, brotherhood. It's been a great honor. I am Ola Akinwe. I'm the humanitarian guru. I've been called that several times, and a literacy activist, an author, and the founder of Boys Mentoring Advocacy Network. Privileged to serve and to have found one's calling at a certain early age. I began in the journey into mentoring and supporting young minds since 2007. That was because I was in a quest to finding the, let me say, the ultimate purpose of my life. Why do I live? What do I live for? And how do I live? And that which will bring me satisfaction. Let's consider the topic of our discussion tonight, which is the power of mentorship and understanding, excuse me, boys. The first thing I like to ask us, probably maybe we can just rub minds together, is what do you think is the greatest emotional, psychological, physical challenge a boy will ever have? Or you have ever had as a young boy? For me, the answer is becoming a man, being a man. Now, if this is going to be your greatest challenge, psychologically, emotionally, physically, and socializations of boys, it all comes to us like, then I need an example to navigate this journey. Another thing I like us to also rub minds in terms of considering, how do you know the difference between a boy and a man? Who is a boy? And who is actually a man? What differentiates it before we begin to talk about men in the life of these boys? Number one, if you look at the word boy, what comes to your mind is the biological male. Yeah. But that does not really define who a boy is in entirety. Look, what makes a boy is, one, is his low sense of judgment. Does he have a good sense of judgment? Number two, he lacks maturity. And number three, he's a little brother. Now, if you flip it to the other side, what defines a man is, call it, he has maturity, he maintains good sense of judgment, and is a big brother. Now, if you understand it from this point of view, we then say, where does mentorship come in? Now, we know the boy is a little brother who lacks a sense of judgment and who lacks maturity. So he's on a journey from lack of sense of judgment to acquire a good sense of judgment. He is in a journey from immaturity to maturity. He is on a journey from being a little brother to become a big brother. Now, if you all agree to these descriptions or definitions that differentiate the boy from the man, we could then say men are to provide the maturity, the sense of judgment, and the big brothers to the boy. Was that why when you look at the word mentorship, the first three letters you get there is men. Because when I did my search, I found out that each time you talk about mentorship, what comes to my mind is the root word, which is men. And you look at it again, in the middle word, you have four. And in the preface, the last word, you have sheep. So we could say mentorship now is men touring the boys on the sheep. What then is the definition of this relationship? Now, if there are not enough men or there are no good men to take the young boys on the mentorship tour, then what happens to the boy? The sheep wrecks. And that's what we need to connect with. When we talk about mentorship, you know that you are the man that this boy is going on a tour with. Like you're going on your annual picnic. They are going on the men's journey picnic. The question is, who takes you on that journey? Who rides with you on the journey of the man you have become today? You see, when you find out, we look at every problem you will see in a man's life, every challenges we see in a man's life, it boils down to one thing: relationship. If you check whatever you're going through now, whatever you're going to amplify your life, beautify your life, comes through relationship. And whatever you're going to take things away from your life, bring down your life, it actually comes to relationship. The power of men becoming a mentor is not underestimated in the overall outcome of the life we live. And the failure to address this early becomes the problem we face in adulthood. Someone put it this way. He said, when boys don't learn, men won't know. Was that why we have a lot of men in the world today who are ignorant of what a man is? So the power of mentorship is the highest power when we come to educating anyone. In fact, someone put it this way. It says, mentoring is the highest form of education. It's not schooling. Today we have a lot of schooled individuals in the world who are no mentors in their life. So the schooling they've acquired, the acquisition of knowledge is not really, does not translate to the outcome they expect in their life because there were no mentors, positive mentors. And to our Black boys in the US, they're so designed in such a way that the men are still trying to figure out their lives when they're in their 50s, in their 60s. How do you provide mentorship when you are still figuring out your life? That is why you and I today, the greatest call, the greatest form of life we can live is to become a generative adult in the life of our boys. because what we were not given, sometimes it's something very, very amazing to me that you're trying to offer to young boys what you never received from other men ahead of you. That's what I do right now. I try to give mentorship to a whole number of boys, of which asked me, did I receive that mentorship? I would say no, from any man in my community growing up, because my father was alcoholic. I grew up in the choke environment where there's no atmosphere of good love and all of that. But because I realized that was what I was craving for growing up, I need to find a way to look out for mentors. I found them in books. I find them in libraries. I see a lot of them when I come to the Read That Network. And today, I still have mentors in my life. So when it comes to the issue of our boys, how do Americans view the boys, especially the Black boys, as an asset or a liability? How do we Black men view our boys? Are they our assets or our liabilities? How do you view the boys in your community right now? Are they community assets or community liabilities? If they are assets, what do you do with your assets? You guide them? You want to increase the value of your asset? You protect them? You care for your asset? But do you do the same for the boy on your street right now? The next boy, Black boy, close to you in your street. Do you see that boy as your greatest asset? If the answer is no, then never blame any boy who goes astray. Because in your capacity as a man, what have you done to touch the life of a boy within your immediate vicinity, right? Even some are quite very good with their own biological sons. But when it comes to the boys next street, it appears that nothing concerns us. But the day is negative life outcome wreaks havoc in the community. We nail the boy, jail him, kill him, scold him, stone him. Why? You're stoning yourself, brother. You're nailing yourself. You're killing yourself. Because when he needs you, were you available? That's the power of mentorship. In fact, in the education world, it's been said that if a boy is properly mentored, he's going to excel 85% in school. He's going to avoid drugs. He will never be a teenage father. That's what the power of mentorship does. I know you might not have received the best of mentorship growing up or have a direct mentorship in your life, but I can tell you, this is the best time for you to duplicate your life and the experiences you've got. Not just for your own children or your own son, but for one child that you will leave a deposit of all the experiences that you've had in your life. So make sure that that boy comes out with a positive life outcomes. That's what we are talking about here. So long as they arrive here, they have become our collective asset. And whatever they turn out to be, if they become liabilities, they become what? Our collective liabilities. So it's a call. Mentorship is a call for every man. And that's why I begin by saying, was I a reason why the word mentorship begins with MENTOR? meaning this is one of the greatest calling for us as men. So don't complain that Black boys are not doing well in the US or in Africa. Look at it this way. I am not contributing enough. I am not taking up the responsibility that can change the life of an average boy in your district, in your community. Now, my brother asked me to talk about understanding different, understanding boys. Yeah, like I said, boys come in different varieties. I'm talking to men here. And I'll be very, very sorry to say this. Men come with different variety of dicks, the same way boy comes with different variety in life. Now, to begin to treat every boy thinking, okay, we have the same dick, it looks alike, but they're not the same size. They are not the same length. Yeah, they're going to serve the same purpose. Yes. But the beauty of it is that you have some boys that are naturally influencers. You have some who are active. You have some introverts, you have some extroverts. They come in different designs. And for them to connect with you, you must understand the design they come with. They come with different interests. Every one of us here are men. But if you look at it, we are different from one another. But we have our collective interest. So when you want to understand the boyness, you don't say, okay, because the boy behaves this way is what puts you off? No. There's something you need to connect with in that young boy that is seeking for. If you can turn the light or switch the light on in him, you just find out that, look, you can connect with this boy. Some might miss a popularity. They enter when Puma gets into the house. The vibration he brings in. I know it came from his childhood. We know Puma is here. You understand? Now to some also say, oh wow, Puma is outspoken. But you gotta know that this is the nature of Puma. It's different from the nature of Ola. So when we're seeking out mentorship, we look at for their different personalities and look at how we can connect at every level with their individual personalities. There's no one boy that is the same as every boy. So having to understand that we have them in different characters, different personalities. In fact, I have 3 boys at home right now. One is in the uni, the other 2 are home. They are not the same. I got to treat them differently based on their temperament, based on their needs, so how do you recognize these things? Early enough, you have to do some personality traits test for the boy to know what aligns with his interests and how you can support his interests. For instance, my last boy is going to be 7 in January, but he loves soccer so much. Because of that, I have to volunteer to take him to a soccer game every Saturday. But the other guy loves baseball. And we don't have baseball here. So I have to look for other ways to align his interests. The other one can talk, while the other one looks very quiet, So I'm trying to look at, you have introvert, you have extrovert. These are from the same mom, the same parent, but different nature and different character. So even as fathers, we have to look at the needs of these boys, their psychological needs are different. Then how we nurture them is what makes them to be that great man we expect them to be. So we must be available psychologically. And for those men who are here, who are sons, I want to call on you to please ensure you create enough time for your son. The best example you can give to them is you as the best example. That's the mentorship we talk. That's all that is all they require. They want to listen to you. They want you to listen to them, and they want to talk with you. That's what the boys of these days are seeking. In fact, one thing I find out in my journey working with the boys, I tell you for free. They don't even need most of your advice. They can find it on ChatGPT. They can find it on the internet. They can find it on YouTube. But do you know what they need? They just need you to listen to them. But brothers, how many of these boys have you listened to in the last 1 month? You just figuring out life for yourself? And when there's no one to listen to them, do you know what happens? There's a rage and outburst out there. And when you see the rage and the outburst, you begin to look at them. What are these boys turning upside down? What are they becoming these days? What's happening to them? We never had this in our years but the truth about it is that they are trying to figure life out the way you figure yours. But unfortunately for them, the age and time they come to the world is different from the age and time you arrive. So what are you going to do from that? Become a mentor. Invest in the greatest asset that the world has given to us, our children. Let me liken this before I close and bring this to an open conversation. What role do you think boys and men have come here to play? We've given ourselves some traditional roles, but in reality, how do you have a story building erected without pillars? How long would that story building last? A lifetime? Can even stay for a day? Men are the pillars that hold the society. Now, you know what has happened to our society? We are building structures without pillars when we don't mentor our boys. And when that happens, what becomes the future of the society? Collapses. And that's to tell us the danger of not standing up, taking up the responsibility to have direct responsibility in mentoring our young. Because men right now in our society have become so weak, and they're getting weaker day by day. And for those of us who are here, who had the opportunity right now, we're the only strength that they are waiting to inspire them and become the best version of themselves. Are we ready to take these boys on the top? Do you know, because why God make me a man is to mentor. That's why people address you as men. The failure in that relationship, to take that boy on a tour that will get him to his destination. If it happens, great. If it does not happen, is a shipwreck. And collectively, all of us will blame for that. I invite you, my brothers. I invite you to this call. It might not be very, very, very rewarding in the beginning because no one will appreciate you. You're investing in little children, little boys. That some of them will even come to tell you thank you. I've been to my most depressed state at times when I look at the investment I've made in boys, and none of them will say thank you, sir. But the fact remains that I wasn't expecting them to tell me thank you. I was planting a seed, and I was watering that seed so that it can produce fruits. You know, brothers, if you are planning your life for a year, you can plant a corn. If you are planning your life for 10 years, a decade, you can plant a tree. You cut it down, you make money. But if you are planning for a lifetime, become a mentor. Educate the next boy in your Dixie, in your community. You know what? 100 years from now, it will not matter the kind of car you drove, where you live in Brooklyn or in New York, how expensive your jacket is and your shoes. You know, how fat your bank account is that you so brag about. Nobody will talk about that 100 years from now. But the young man who saved his life will tell his children will tell his children's children. It's become a story in that family because the one impact you made, you've changed a generation.
Definitely, definitely. Ola, thank you, thank you. That's powerful. I wanna say what's up to Phil and George. What's going on, fellas? Open up to the floor to the brothers. Anyone have a question or a comment from this gospel that Ola gave to the church? Open to floor to the brother who has a question or a comment from what they heard from Ola.
I want to say thank you, Ola, and a lot of good information. And the last thing you said, it really resonated with me. If you're planning for a lifetime, become a mentor because you can carry it on forever. You can't, because it's not just your own kids neither. That's important. You said early on, it's not just your own kids; it's all of them. You need to help all of them to make it last a lifetime. Because you just stop at yours. Like for me, I only had one. It's over. But I take pride in helping as many people as possible. This inspired me to be more intentional though. And so I had a young brother that I met last month, and he asked me, "Can we meet once a month?" What I say to this, that this generation is more open to mentorship. They're looking for it. So thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I think one of the big things too is the trust thing, is that for boys that never had a mentor, it's that trust factor. It's trusting someone because they've had people in their life come and go, or made promises and broke those promises. So how do you break down that barrier of lack of trust?
Right. Well, if you want to be, like I said from the beginning, is relationship begins with relationship. You don't approach, no boy will just walk up to you and begin to open up to you. It begins with, let me say, from my research, it begins with the expression of your love for him. That's where he begins. Because one of the things that takes these boys out of their family is because when you look at what is known as familiar love, which is the foundation of love, where we all come from. When the family love is not good enough, it's not structured in such a way that the boy can thrive in that environment. They go seek out that love next. Now, when they come to you, they are coming with what they are hungry for in the family, which is the foundation of love. I bet you to understand that. Why did God put you in the family, to grow in the family? It's to develop love and relationship. So now in the family, they're not getting the love, and the relationship is negative, is talking. So when you find such a boy, all you need is embracing that boy with love. And when that is well demonstrated, and they see that you are actually embracing with love, they begin to watch. And from that moment, they see that because love is an expression, is an action, and when they see you in action demonstrating that, they begin to get closer and get closer. And what happens from there? They begin to open up to you. So, number one, for a boy to trust you, you must create time for the person, for that young man. It requires time. Number two, no matter how they act, don't see them as being disrespectful the first time. Because if they've been cultivated with respect from the home where they're coming from, that wouldn't be a problem when they come to you. But in most cases, for us to embrace them, sometimes we look at these young boys as being disrespectful. So we got proof of. And number three, you look at the kind of the unity of what unites the two of you together. Some it could be music, some it could be soccer. There must be a point, something that interests both of you. So when you find that interest, it's at that point that helps the boy to bond with you. Because you want to establish bonding before you set boundaries. But in most cases, some men, they want to set boundaries before they bond with the boy, and that puts the boy away. So so you have to look at it again from the point when you find your collective interest that unifies both of you. You're going to make a lot of sacrifice, brother. They want to see that you have sacrificed for them. They know when you make sacrifices. Genuinely, the boys know. And they know when you are manipulating them as well. But if they see that you are being sacrificial towards their overall development, they begin to get closer. They find you as a big part of their life. Without you, some pieces are missing. Because one thing about what challenges their development is that they pick pieces from Puma, they pick pieces from Jerome, they pick pieces from Dog. They are not trying, they want to put these pieces together to become a man. But when they come to you, they can see, oh, this is how you build yourself. They find these pieces, so they begin to look at the good in you. Then you introduce them to the good of others. And lastly, you must be able to tolerate them. Most men today cannot tolerate our young men. It's not good enough. So if you understand, if you follow those steps, you spend time with them, you let there be kind of a mutual respect at the beginning. They might be very disrespectful, but you want to take them on the journey of being disrespectful to a respectful journey. So you have to be patient. That's where the tolerance comes. Then there must be a genuine sacrifice. This is how you can develop trust with those young men, and they can too return that trust back to you. And they will definitely, even if they go wrong, they will come to you and open up to you. That's what I've seen in this practical work with the book.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Ola. Jerome, you unmuted yourself. Did you have something to say?
Yes, I didn't know I unmuted myself though. But yes, Olaf, first of all, brother, I'd like to thank you, man, for sharing, for educating. I and it's a reason why this is happening tonight. You know, maybe I'm not understanding the total reason, but you said some things that I had to take a look at myself and take a look in the mirror. You know, you had mentioned earlier about what's the difference between a boy and a man, you know, and what makes a boy a man, you know, is it a number, you know? And I was contemplating that, and it was good, it was deep, man. And I realize now, you know, that I'm not doing enough um to mentor or educate the young brothers that I can influence. You know, I'm in a comfort zone, and when you're in a comfort zone, you're not shaking no trees. You're not really moving. You're just there. You know, but so now I have to get out of my comfort zone because I want to leave a legacy. You know, with the young brothers. You know, I'm a proud black man, and I would like to leave a legacy with some young brothers before I go home, before God calls me home, you know? And if I stay here in my comfort zone, I'm not going to accomplish that goal. So thank you, my brother, for bringing up this topic tonight, because now I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and go out there, because I'm in a white community for the most part, but but there are some brothers that it could be reached in the next town from my town. You know, I just got to get out of my comfort zone and go to a basketball game, or just go out there and see what is out there for somebody who I can help, mentor, uplift. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Much love.
Definitely, definitely. George, I don't know if I could put you on the spot. You mentored youth all your life. You want to add something to the
Mm.
discussion?
Yeah, definitely. It is I mean, for the most part, it's a passion that I've always had, just based off of the fact of the necessity and seeing that from my father's standpoint. My father used to take a whole bunch of youth and young ones. He was my first baseball coach. I won my first trophy ever with my father. You know what I mean? So not at that time did I know that that was a calling for me. But I think that one of the biggest things in mentoring is, one, being honest, right? But also speaking from experience that is going to help them build on, because we not all go, we're not all going to get it right. Sometimes even with my daughters, both of my daughters, I have a 21-year-old and 15-year-old. You know what I mean? So the spectrum between teachings is so different. But knowing that I may not always get it right, but at the same time, giving them the proper tools so that they can make the decisions needed for them. And I think one of the biggest things, especially as men, um, for our young men, and me being a girl's dad, right? Me having my two daughters, but even for my young ones. And it's funny, as I'm speaking to you, one of my young guys, one of my little brothers, just reached out to me right now. But I think one of the biggest things is being vulnerable. I think as a man, we need to learn how to be vulnerable. We need to learn that leadership does not come from toughness, and toughness does not come from not shedding a tear. And truth of the matter is that who we are as a person, right, as human beings, needs to always be reflective on our decision making. So speaking a good word is always great, but it's about the actions that you put in. And that's one of the things that I think in mentoring the youth. Um, I've always loved it. I still love it. I work with a different population, people on parole and probation now, but nonetheless, I'm always looking for my young to try to give them a little gem here and there, and do what I can. So I think what Ola's doing with you know, with his projects and everything that he's involved with, and anybody that's working with the youth. Truth of the matter is, it's never going to be easy, but we need to know that is necessary. And as long as we understand the necessity of it, we're going to always give what we can. You know what I mean? We're not always going to be right, but they know that we're doing the best that we can to give them the tools that they need, and they could always come back to us. As I'm saying, one of my young guys is hitting me up. He's 27 now, 20. I knew him when he was 15, 14. You know what I mean? So just seeing that growth and seeing, you know, him starting his own dog business and him starting his own things, for my males and my little sisters too. You know what I mean? I see them as daughters and sons. Love them. I will never give that up. That's a part of my life that I will never give up. But I think that good work that Ola's doing and everybody working youth is needed. Is needed for us, our new generation. One question that was asked, not to be long-winded, I've already have been, but somebody had asked me, why do you go so hard for the young? And I told them straight up, because the young are going to eventually be my daughter's doctors. They're going to eventually be my daughter's dentists and lawyers and you know, mentors. So we need to have that mentality that we're constantly given, so that cycle gets better than what it has been for our history.
Definitely. Thank you, George. I appreciate that input, man. Thank you. We got 10 minutes left. I know we're past 8 o'clock, so we're gonna have another 10 minutes. Kiata, I definitely want to get your perspective, especially you being a former NYC police officer, if you want to chime in.
Yeah, I have my hand raised. I don't know if it's showing on your end.
I saw it.
But all right, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Ola, for your words of wisdom. And I don't know if I'm getting a quote right. I'm probably not, but I believe it was Frederick Douglass that stated, "It's easier to fix a broken boy than fix a man." You know, older, you know, man. I know I probably said it wrong, but you know, you get the gist. But mentorship is definitely key, because something that we could say, do, or like Ola said, just by listening, could change a young person's life, or the path or that direction they may take based off of what they see in you, how you conduct and carry yourself, or we conduct and carry ourselves, to make them not go down that wrong path or not be a follower, and to learn how to be a leader. But something that I also wanted to say, something to what Jerome said, we all, like how Jerome said he's going to get out of his comfort zone. We all, I'm quite sure, have little male or female cousins or nieces or nephews in our family, whether they teenagers or young adults, early 20s, late 20s, what have you. So that's another place we could start, because there's nothing that says you can't be a mentor to your family as well. Besides, you know, people who are not related to you. And I have a mentor. She's a woman, and she was on the job when I was, you know, I met her before I was on the job, and she guided me while I was on the job, you know, when I had questions, and told me the do's and don'ts. But that mentorship turned into a mother-son relationship. You know, I call her my second mom, and her daughter, I call her my little sister. I knew her daughter since she was, 3 years old. Her daughter's like 30 now, and she's an attorney. So, and she has sickle cell. So I've seen the challenges of her, supporting her with sickle cell, but accomplishing everything she has accomplished. But what I wanted to also say is that, like when my little cousins, you know, I randomly, and I could probably do more of it, of calling them, reaching out and checking up on them. But I send them, you know, sporadically a random text, just saying, yo, how you doing? How's everything? How you holding up? You know, I got little cousins that's in college, you know, and then I randomly send them money on Cash App. You know, I randomly send them $50 or $100. Like, you know, go take your girlfriend out on a date or whatever, or buy yourself a little something, something. Don't, as we say, don't spend it all in one place. But but that's a start. I definitely try to mentor the men in my family, the young men, and the young women. But you could definitely do people who we don't know, because there's people that you could mentor and you definitely could change life. That's basically what I wanted to
Nah, thank you, Kiara. I appreciate that. Thank you. Doug, did you want to chime in?
Yes. I want to say thank you, Ola. Like Jerome was mentioning, you made me think and look at myself and think. And I looked and I found that when my kids were younger, a lot of their cousins always want to go with them where we going, different places to the circus or whatever. And and I would say, ask your mother, your father, and bring them and had a chance to, impact their lives with the places we went and different conversations we had, and went to the pizza shop and just sat down and talked and got into their minds and mentored them, telling them how great they can be if they stay on course with their education and those types of things. And then I looked at myself, I said, well, now my kids are grown. Back then it was be like 4 or 5 of their friends or some of their cousins with us. And my 4 or 5 kids and we all one big team. So now I'm looking like where I am now. I say I don't, I get my grandkids now. I push it down to my grandkids. So my 2 grandsons, my granddaughter's in Charlotte, but my 2 grandsons are here in Brooklyn. So I get them, me and my wife, and we take them out and stuff and show them different things and educate them. So you can still continue to mentor, and it should never stop. But I have to even go further than that. I see, I'm looking at your conversation. I say, yeah, like Kenyatta said, there are other people outside of our immediate family too, that we know it. We can see some people walk in the streets and they're struggling or different things, in our communities. And we might want to reach out sometime and say, listen, um, can I conversate with you a minute to share some information with you as an older person to a younger person? Keep it open just like that. And sometimes they probably would be open, because when you're young, you're looking for answers. You're looking for answers. So we adults, we have a lot of answers for the youth. And I don't see why not going further and pushing it. And like you say, keeping from having a shipwreck. Let's don't have a shipwreck. Let's, get in that relationship with these young men and help them to develop and to grow in their futures and stuff. So they'll want to put back into other people's lives when they become adults.
Right.